If you've ever wanted to experience the rapt attention of bodybuilder-shaped swamp monster goldfish crosses, who are equal parts muscles, fins, and floaty silk clothes with absolutely zero interest in blinking, then I can't speak highly enough of telling ghost stories to a pair of Frillians. That hadn't been the plan. It just came up in conversation while we tidied the storage hold. Our ship was going to take on a lot of cargo soon. There were things on the floor that needed picking up, which was boring, so we passed the time with stories. As it turns out, Frillians love ghost stories. "Then what happened?" asked Blip when I paused for effect. She'd frozen in place, holding a wrench and a heat sensor, wide-eyed in a cloud of fluttering silks and fins, all electric blue and bright red, and deeply invested in my story. Her brother Blop was her mirror in aqua and lavender. "Then," I said, picking up a crowbar, "when he went to let her out of the car, he found a hook on the door handle." I caught the crowbar on my hand dramatically. "Oh!" they chorused with a gratifying flinch, for all the world like frat bros watching someone get hit in the nuts. "Near miss! Oh, wow!" I grinned and put the crowbar in a cabinet while they rehashed the very simple story to each other. I'd already told them a few others, and I was going to run out of stories before they ran out of enthusiasm. Blip asked, "What do you think they did when they found that?" With a shudder like a bird fluffing feathers, Blop suggested, "Throw it as far away as possible? Run into the house?" Blip nodded, fins still flared slightly. "Maybe both. Then call the authorities." I walked past to collect a stray cable. "I don't know about the authorities where you're from, but mine wouldn't have been much help." The twins discussed this some more, then agreed that the best response would be to run screaming into the house and lock every door they could find. Only then did they remember that they were supposed to be cleaning and resume putting stuff away. After 3 seconds of silence, Blop asked, "Know any more?" "Maybe," I said. "Let me think." I shelved a box and looked around the room for inspiration. No ghosts hid in this storage hold, though it had been home to many an animal cargo. The reinforced clear pen was still empty, and had been for a while. Our cargoes were mostly boxes these days. The door to the hallway stood open, and I almost had a thought about some doorway-based haunting, but couldn't pin it down. I moved to stack a few stale tubs of animal food while I thought. Then my cat Telly walked in, recently free to roam the ship on a provisional basis, and I had an idea. The fact that Telly had made a beeline for Blip's spare overcoat helped. She burrowed right under, sniffing out the shrimp sticks that were undoubtedly hidden in several pockets. Neither Frillian noticed. "There was one story," I said, watching them both perk up like meerkats, fishy, muscle-bound meerkats. "The legend of the pants with nobody inside them." "Pants with nobody inside them?" they dutifully asked. I tugged at my own pant leg. "People where I'm from wear a lot of clothes that are shaped to fit our bodies and have the same silhouette when they're empty." Just imagine how creepy and unsettling it must have been for the first person to venture into a dark forest at night and see the shape of another human, but only the bottom half, walking steadily towards them. I took slow and deliberate strides toward the far side of the animal pen, drawing their gaze away from the shrimp stick excavation. "That sounds terrifying," Blip declared. "Did they run?" "Oh, you bet they did," I said, jogging slowly in place, then speeding up. "But the pants ran after!" Blop squeaked in fear, muscly arms bent to bring his hands to his mouth. They had no idea how hard I was working not to laugh. That first person got away, and so did the next. But it kept happening, and the pants got faster each time. People started to worry about going outside and wonder about their own clothes. They'd look at a pair of pants on the floor and imagine it starting to get up on its own. Then, "Oh geez, what's that?" I pointed through the clear walls of the pen. Both Frillians whirled and screamed at the sight of, as promised, an item of clothing moving around. Telly bolted in panic, with one shrimp stick in her mouth and several others scattering in all directions. I heard someone down the hall yelp, though it was hard to make out over the Frillians screaming. "What was that? Was that an animal? Wait, that was your animal, wasn't it? What was it doing in my coat?" I leaned against a wall, laughing. I couldn't hold it back anymore. "Stealing your shrimp sticks," I managed. "Sorry." After a little more yelling and hyperventilating, during which 3 other crew members came to see what the emergency was. They finally calmed down. The rest of the crew was waved away. "So," Blip said, clearly determined to speak evenly, "how does the story end?" I was still grinning. "Somebody makes friends with the pants. They were chasing after people because they were lonely." "What?" Blip exclaimed, fins spread and eyes wide, which just made me burst into laughter again. Blop echoed her. "It's a children's story," I explained. "I think the pants wanted to dance with other people, or they wanted someone to wear them. I honestly don't remember the details, but they were lonely." Blop shook his head. "Lonely haunted clothing," he said. "Your planet sure has some memorable ones." Blip picked up her coat at arm's length, and I couldn't tell if she was looking for damage or ghosts. "Maybe it was hungry," she suggested. "I'm sure many ghosts like shrimp sticks," I said, picking one up from the floor. "I'll bet we could think up a new story about that. Maybe they're haunted by the ghosts of the shrimp, mad about being eaten." Their dismayed expressions told me that such a story might ruin their favorite snack for them. "Or," I said, turning on my heel, "we could think up a story about a haunted stun gun. Maybe it keeps a ghostly copy of all the people it's stunned. How do you think a story like that would work?" To my delight, Blip and Blop proved just as interested in composing new stories as listening to old ones. The rest of the tidying session passed quickly. I take no responsibility for the nightmares they inflicted on the rest of the crew.